Okay, using WorkFlowy Notes to offer guidance within a convergent and divergent structure is what this really brief video is going to be about. I'm going to jump in here. Right now I'm working on a book, and working on a book for a divergent thinker like mine can be a little bit overwhelming. The number of thoughts that bubble to the surface about character development and plot twists and conflict and different character dialogue can absolutely be a tidal wave of thought for me. That's true of a lot of my life. My thought life is extremely well populated. It just boils over, bubbles to the surface all the time. So a lot of the work for me is removing distractions and concentrating focus. So that's why I work inside of convergent and divergent systems. So for writing this book, number one, a shout out to Abbie Emmons, who has a phenomenal YouTube channel about the writing life and a lot of components of about how to write. She had a video on the 3-act story outline, which I love. So I'm going to use that as the convergent, the focusing structure for how I'm going to develop this book. Um, I already behind that have, I won't get into what all this is, but hundreds or thousands of nodes of ideas I've had, which has been a ton of fun, but now it's time to write the book. So what I've done is adopt her system or her structure for a book as the focusing structure. Um, but as I was typing out, she had this wonderful PDF that explains the 3-story outline. Um, and I'm going to use WFX. So this was her outline for the 3-act story structure. I don't need to see all this while I'm trying to write a book. I really need to focus in. So if I'm working on the first act, that focuses me in a little bit more, and I'm going to work on, say, the inciting incident. And so I'm going to read her recommendations for things to think about while you're developing the inciting incident. So in this case, the protagonist is pushed outside of his comfort zone, something that pushes the protagonist outside of his comfort zone. That is not her writing, that is me summarizing poorly what she wrote. A conflict that he has to face. I need to know why it matters and let him react to it as a normal person would with his personality and how it pushes him out of his comfort zone. Okay, now that I have, okay, what's going to push this guy out of his comfort zone? So I already understand what his comfort zone is, and now I need to introduce a conflict that directly pushes him outside of his comfort zone. Now the beautiful thing about this is here I'm going to get started on the work, and I'm going to hide the notes. So I have that thought, but I don't need that distracting me. I definitely don't need to see all of this, and I don't really need to be seeing all of this. I need to absorb the guidance of the convergent structure, whatever that is, and then I need to operate inside of that. So by putting that in notes and using the WFX PowerPack hide notes functionality, it really lets this brain of mine that's just constantly bubbling with ideas work inside of a narrow parenthesis with the guidance of the system, in this case of Abbie, um, giving some recommendations about some things to think about. And then I can plunge in and be very divergent. Let those thoughts bubble up within those parentheses, so I can get the work done on writing the book. So this is a structure. In this case, I'm using my book as an example, but convergent divergent systems, which is you have something that you want to do or think about, create a structure for it, and then operate divergently and creatively inside of that more narrow structure. So whether maybe you're teaching a class, for me, my typical convergent structure for teaching is show it, sell it, do it, use it. That's typically how I operate. So I literally will dump into WorkFlowy, show it, sell it, do it, use it as bullet points. Inside of that, in the notes section, I can give some guidance, the best thoughts that I can develop on how to show something. some questions to ask about how to show something, not even some examples, but some guiding commentary about what it means to show something and what it doesn't mean. So I can embed that in the node, and then I can hide it and get down to showing, developing ideas for how to show something. And then move on to the next thing. Listen to the guidance about sell it, then collapse that or hide it, and jump into selling it. And then how to do it, and then how to use it. So that's the structure. By embedding the guidance in the notes, which are then hideable, it really, really, really lets me focus in. And that's, like I said, that's the bulk of the work for me. Once I can remove distractions and focus my attention and then let the thoughts bubble up, that's a much, much, much more profoundly useful way for me to develop things or do my work inside of a very focused space. So this is one way to use WorkFlowy Notes to both give the guidance but allow you to really narrowly focus on what you're working on. Hope that helps.